YouTube? It is I, Sakarma, coming with more Total Brohammer 1v1 action. I myself am head of the Dwarfs against Drans of the Lizardmen, who's brought an interesting build. A lot of feral units you don't quite see that often, and Cole 1 Riders, so let's see how it works out for him. And I will be ahead of a pretty, I don't say what would say, yeah, probably traditional Dwarf build. No artillery, I guess that's the one non-tradition of it. Dwarves do love tradition, so we're just going to posture a little bit. So what did I bring? Some miners in the front, some miners with blast charge. These guys are just there to soak up the initial charge. These guys are to blow up their infantry with their blasting charges, do some initial damage, and then of course soak up the secondary charge. Meanwhile, the rest of my units have charge commencements large, like the Dwarf Warriors. I have some Thunderers over there, some Longbeards. I've got the Dragonback Slayers, more Longbeards, and I have some Giant Slayers over here. And we're headed by a Runesmith and a Thorgrim, who has a new ability. I'm sure you've seen talked about before, but his ability is something of Grudge, I think? Something Oath of Vengeance, that's it. So it's just a debuff, a negative 27 melee defense debuff, so that's quite good. It lasts for 44 seconds and is on a 6-second cooldown, alongside his other buffs. So he increases melee defense, he decreases melee attack. Of course, he has the High King, which is very, very good. But only obviously pops if he's less than 50 health, but higher than 50 leadership. So that's an interesting little combination. And then alongside this guy, so that melee debuff is quite good in conjunction with the Runesmith's Hammer of Characteraz. So negative 44 melee attack for 50 seconds, and then of course it's on a 90-second cooldown while in melee, so it's a little bit harder to get, but also less weapon damage. So we have two major debuffs that we can just pop the whole game, which is quite good for us. Of course, this guy needs to be fighting to get that, but they're dwarves. Dwarves like to fight. And then we do have some Rune of Wrath and Ruin, just to decrease speed and all that stuff. And then, of course, Rune of Oath and Steel, which usually I eschew, but I think it's like 50, 60 gold, which isn't really that much. And considering we're fighting Lizardmen who don't have the highest armor piercing, like Saurus Warriors don't, 52 weapon damage, my god, I knew that's how high it was. Yeah, so they're quite good in that regard, that they can just sort of buff with that. Meanwhile, my opponent has three Feral Bastiladons, interesting pick. One regular, not regular, and one Ancient Stegodon, who has the Ballista. He does indeed, no, he does not have the Ballista, he has the giant, like, blowgun thingy. But yeah, so he's got a little bit of a range attack, really high damage, 699 poison, insane. And then we have a Saurus Fire Veteran, just to hunt down lords and heroes. He's quite fast. He's not quite fast, quite slow, what am I saying? And then we have Masamune Onslaught, who doesn't have the greatest melee attack, but of course he does get a bonus of something or another versus infantry. Let's see what that is. 15, so yeah, he's definitely not bad against infantry. Charge force is crazy high. Range on these missiles, not bad at all. And he's got Apotheosis, Honor Cannon Forging, Comet of Cassadora, Crystalmite Wind. I think he brought every spell. Not sure. Maybe he's a new player. But yeah, you definitely don't want to bring every spell on these guys. Did he bring every ability? No, I don't know. So yeah, interesting move on my opponents. Don't think you want to bring every spell. You're rarely going to get the use out of that. He does get a banishment in the back line, so let's get the battle back on the road. Against my Ulthar's Raiders, who I forgot to mention. So he's going to basically my opponent's plan here is charge right through with these Feral Bastiladons, get into my back line, start mucking it up. The thing about these guys is that they're going to die very, very... He's going to drop a Comet of Cassadora? Is that what's coming down there? Yes. But that's, as you can see, a bit of a misplay. He should have waited till we were there, and he would have gotten a ton of damage. Very, very good value. But, of course, dwarves do have to mob when they fight large entities, so Comet of Cassadora can be very good. Had he netted us and then commented, it would have been devastating. We do have a buff coming in from our Runesmith, Rune Negation and Rune of Steel. But you can see these guys are going to start rampaging very quickly, and once they rampage, they're going to be in trouble. They're not going to be able to get out, and they're going to be fighting Giant Slayers, which is bad news for them. And then some Longbeards. Meanwhile, I can reposition with my Ulthar's Radars and get some axes thrown to this guy. And they are going to do just that, I think. Maybe? We'll see. Throw your axes, guys. Come on, gentlemen. Nope, I guess the dwarfs are just going to look and yell. They are going to charge with these Cold One Riders. They're going to get shot up a little bit by my Thunderers, and even though they are being healed by Apotheosis, it's going to help them, but they are also right into my Dragonback Slayers, so just not a good fight for them on any side. Meanwhile, Masamune's helping to crush my front line of just Dwarf Warriors and Miners, but that's okay, they're just to hold, and as long as they can hold out, the better. The longer they can hold out, the better, rather. We've done some good damage on these Saurus Warriors with these Dwarf Warriors and these Miners, but they are going to flee, and the Runesmith's going to be in serious trouble. But our back line is okay, and he's lost one unit of Feral Bastiladons, and we still have some Longbeards, we still have some Dwarf Warriors here. The Dragonback Slayers are in good health, so it's looking okay for us. I think so we do get Masamune in the back here, and now he's fighting some Giant Slayers, which is just not a good place to be for him. You can see look at the damage go onto him from these Dragon Slayers. So he's just going down with, and then these axes are coming in as well, so just bad news all around. He's losing thousands of health by the second. Look at that. Oh my god, 500, and then down to, ooh, Jesus. Yeah, he's just getting murdered by these Dragon Slayers. It's just not a good fight for him to be in at all. He's going to have to get out of there. Of course, he can't heal, but it's going to be trouble for him. He's going to try to get these cold one riders into the back of my Ulthrazed Raiders, but I do have some Longbeards right there, and they're going to do okay against the cold ones. And he's going to bring these guys right into my Ulthrazed Raiders, which makes sense. He wants to prevent them from throwing their axes. We've been able to bring the, we were able to bring the Rootsmith back to our line, but he's going to push him right back into these Saurus Warriors, so bad news for that guy. But Thorgrim is marching after, he's like a little mini version of Masamudi. Look at that, they're cute, they're kind of like mirroring each other. Except instead of legs, he has dwarfs that carry him. So we're trying to chase Masamudi off, but because of course he can heal all that damage right back up. Another banishment comes in, does some good damage, of course. Oh, this guy's just getting tossed to shit, but he's doing it. Oh, there he goes. Oh, I thought he was going to survive. But I don't think there's a cure for having your arm ripped off by a magic vortex. Over here, we're getting some shots on the H-Secondon, not doing the best damage with this guy. I don't know, not really any damage at all, surprisingly. I don't know why they're not firing. There they go. Oh, there we go. There's a few bullets in there, not terrible. We were able to rout out these Colon Riders. Masamudi's coming back in with some health returned. And he's going to try and do some damage to Thorgrim Gungebearer, but I believe he is a large entity. He's one of the few large entities on the Dwarfs, so he actually is not going to have the easiest time to hit him, because he has 62 melee defense, and he only has 26 melee attack. So he's quite a good guy to fight Masamudi. He won't do much damage back, but at least he'll hold against him. And that's more than you can say about most Dwarf units, because I think other than him and Gyrocopters, there's no other large unit, and of course Artillery, but I don't know if that counts. Well, that definitely does count. Other than Artillery and him and the Gyrocopters, no other large units on the Dwarfen roster. Over here, the 18 Stegodon is being set upon by my Giant Slayers. The Feral Psilodon is trying to fight these guys. Of course, that's a bad idea for him, because that won't last hell. We do have some Dragon Black Slayers in here, so, you know, everything's where I want it to be, basically. I think our Ulthar Raiders were warded off. They were eventually killed, but I think they'll come back. Yeah, they are. So there's a few models left, 14, but they still have that ability to pop, but it's not looking good for them. But we do have the Mazda Mundi surrounded by Giant Slayers, Dragon Black Slayers, and he's being shot in his butt. So his Tuchus is getting lit up, and it's just not looking good for him. So he's running out on his way. Thorgrim Wrenchbear is trying to fight this H-Stegodon, and yeah, he's doing okay, but not the greatest. Of course, he has a lot of armor, and we don't have a lot of armor piercing on Thorgrim. But at this point, the battle's kind of decided. His infantry is falling over here on this other flank. Everything that he has brought back is, you know, not in good shape. Mazda has actually fled. I'm going to chase off with my Dragon Black Slayer, so he cannot come back or heal. And this guy will be taken down by these Giant Slayers and Thorgrim. What is Thorgrim's? Let's see if we can get his. We can see his armor piercing. So he's being debuffed by poison, but only about 136. Oh, yeah, not the greatest armor piercing, but he does all right here. So probably better bringing off Ungrim if you want to be more competitive. But I figured, why not bring Thorgrim? Give him a shot. See what the old guy's been up to. So we can see silver chevrons on these Giant Slayers, even though they had 4 kills, just because they did so much damage on Mazda, like a ton of damage. And Mazda's a very expensive model, like 3,000. So getting that amount of damage done is crazy, crazy good for Mazda. Meanwhile, everything else on his faction didn't really perform as well as it should have. 100 kills on the Saurus Warriors, not bad. So we did it on the H-Stegodon. But other than that, yeah, not a whole lot of damage done across our lines. But someone requested Dwarfs, and this I provide. Let me already said that someone does not give Dwarfs. I don't play them often. I like them more in Game 1 because I think they were a little bit, I don't know why I like them more in Game 1, to be fair. I couldn't put my finger on it. I just think there's more fun factions in Game 2 than there were in Game 1. Game 1, I just like, my favorite factions were Greenskins, but I didn't find them that competitive. They were okay. I mean, they were good, that's not a lie. They were good, but they just were not the best. Dwarfs were fun. They were actually very difficult to play as. Maybe that's why, because they were kind of an underdog, and I like the underdogs. But anyways, thanks for joining us, guys, and I'll see you around the bend.